Welcome everybody to the Charlie West Wrestling Show. I am your host, Charlie West, here once again with the ever-present Tony and the supreme Ozzy Blaze. Here today to talk to you about the 10 greatest World Championship matches in wrestling history.
This will be a fun one.
I hope so. I think there could be crossover, there could be no crossover. There's been so many good matches in wrestling. Does anyone want to kick off?
I'll go first.
Okay, absolutely. So you're number 10.
I think you're going to like this one, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Brock versus Rock. SummerSlam 01, 02? Can't remember which one. 02.
Yeah.
I loved the build-up for it. It looked kind of like almost like UFC. They were training and everything like that. You know, showing the Rock. He was running up the steps in like the Miami stadium, I think it was.
Yeah.
The whole build-up for it. Match-wise, it was okay. It's good. It's good.
The crowd was on fire.
The crowd was on fire. A lot of times for these matches, I picked based on that too.
Yeah.
Right? What was the atmosphere? How over was it? And Brock winning, I still think it was a great angle. It was a great match.
Big move, and that was when the crowd started to turn on Rock.
Exactly.
They knew he was leaving,
and he actually cut like a heel promo after.
Yeah.
But
he was face going in, and then at the end, after the match had finished, he just got up and was like, "I'm leaving, so I'm just gonna make some money for my return," and just so
they never played that at the time though. You know, I've only seen that recently. Footage of that promo. I love that match.
That's the good thing about The Rock, is that The Rock was the one super top guy that if he was told you're losing, would still put together a match and still really
Stephanie McMahon pinned him on Raw.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's the Hurricane beat him as well, right?
Might have.
Yeah, because Austin came out and that Hurricane feud was great as well.
Yeah, he would job to anybody if he was told to,
yeah.
and make it feel proper. He wouldn't be pouty or miserable about it.
No.
So that means you got great matches where The Rock loses.
Yeah.
All right, that's my number 10, Rock Brock.
My number 10, it's quite a recent one actually. Really recent. Roman Reigns, Edge, Daniel Bryan, triple threat, WrestleMania 37. First time the crowd are back in as well after COVID-19 and stuff. They were hot for it. And
did you like the finish though and stacking
I
them up?
loved the finish because it was just Roman is the guy and there's nothing we can do about it. Bang, two of them. He just stacked them.
And I guess he deserved it after the pandemic, right? Because Roman was the only reason to watch WWE during the pandemic. So
And you've met Tony, right? Tony's most loved thing in wrestling is when the unstoppable big figure of wrestling just buries the entire roster as quickly as possible. So
it's not necessarily true. It's only half true, but I just did enjoy the match was great. Having Daniel Bryan in there was the right choice because having Edge versus Roman probably, as we saw the month after, wouldn't have been as big. But and then having him stack just two main event guys that the fans clearly are behind at that point, on top of each other, 1, 2, 3, definitive finish. I love everything about that.
All right.
No, I can go on with that. Roman Reigns has had some really, really good matches in this reign so far.
Yeah.
I don't have him on my list. I have honorable mention, but I don't have him on my list. Any Roman matches.
Fair enough. So for my number 10, I'm going for probably one of the biggest moments in the past. I want to say 10 years, but it might be slightly more than 10 years ago now.
Okay.
Money in the Bank, CM Punk versus John Cena. That show, just again, one where the crowd.
That's my number 9.
That's your number 9.
I'm gonna say that now,
yeah. Just the talk of a match where you have a good match plus a match that is tailor made to the crowd that it's being.
And you didn't know who was going to go over.
Yeah.
Right.
No, he genuinely thought
really did not know who was going to go over.
Punk was doing that whole thing where he's I'll take the title to Ring of Honor, and you didn't know if he signed his contract. They say he signed it on the day.
Yeah.
Could be a lie to push the kayfabe.
But it's the way they shot it too. Vince coming in with Johnny Ace. You'd never seen Johnny Ace on camera. It definitely felt.
And it was the end after the finish as well when Vince was scrambling in the back to get Del Rio out and stuff to cash in his money.
And then he blows the kiss and runs to the crowd.
Because that's how they kind of did it. Because they were if Punk wins, they've still got Del Rio. That was So Punk could win even though he's leaving. And then still win. Then Del Rio will cash in. So Punk.
People were talking about that on the internet.
Yeah. But the match itself is great.
That's your 10 and that's your 9.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's an idea that if AEW were ever going to steal an idea from WWE, December 2023, whatever the last pay-per-view they have before MJF's contract expires, have MJF be champion. Don't tell anyone if he's re-signed or not, and just repeat that exact same thing of, I might take your title to WWE.
I can see them doing that.
It's
my number 9. I don't think you're gonna like this one, Charlie. But again, it's because it wasn't actually, they gave this match away for free. It wasn't a good idea. But just watching that match and how hot the crowd was, you cannot help but get hyped for Hogan Goldberg on Nitro when Goldberg wins the belt. It is that it's in the Superdome in Atlanta. Yeah. That place is going fucking crazy. And then Goldberg at the end holding the 2 belts, so badass.
Yeah, that was huge to see. I remember being hyped for that. Like, I remember hearing about it was like Hogan, Goldberg, because Goldberg was the guy coming up. Like, he had that whole undefeated streak. It was hard. And he's like, when's he going to get Hogan?
And then they just did it. And they just did it.
And it was just like, someone's like, Hogan, Goldberg's tonight. And I'm like, tonight?
Yeah.
Like, before the internet as well, so I like didn't know the outcome.
Goldberg says he didn't even know that match was happening until the Thunder was their other show, their B show, the week prior.
Right.
And then they actually, like, they had that stadium booked in Atlanta, and then ticket sales went way up. Huge ratings for that. I remember everyone talking about it too. It was in the summertime. Sometimes wrestling tends to, summertime people are doing shit, right? You're not at school.
So basically that show did everything right that Hogan and Brett in Canada did wrong.
They never did.
Didn't they? That one Brett versus Hogan.
It's not in Canada.
Was that not in Canada?
No.
I thought it was.
No. It's not in Canada, and then it's like a swerve too, where Brett is a bad guy. No, they did everything right, but obviously they should have saved it, built it up, booked that stadium for Starrcade, and done it there. And actually made money with it. But that was Bischoff.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
Have you seen that match though? Have you ever watched it?
Yes, I have. Or I've at least seen parts of it.
You got to watch that. It's great.
The crowd pops for every move, and it's
short.
It's only about 5.
It's a really short match, but
it's like Goldberg, Lesnar, like they're just explosive, and then like the crowd is just like
I can't remember a match where the crowd is going that crazy for a finish. So people are throwing garbage in the ring, even though they know Goldberg's about to win. Like when he gets him up for the jackhammer, it's unreal.
I can imagine. No, I mean those, and again, like the crowd can really make something.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That, right?
And this one, without that crowd.
It's like whatever people say about like different periods of WCW, whatever people like me might say about AEW or whatever. It's like if they're tailoring their show to the crowd that is watching, and the crowd that is watching is going crazy, then they're doing it right, even if I disapprove or you disapprove or someone else disapproves, right?
Right.
It's speaking of disapproving. My number 9 is so you went for Roman Reigns with Daniel Bryan and Edge.
Yep.
I considered that one. I also considered the goodbye to Daniel Bryan match on Smackdown with Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. I thought that was a really, really good. If Bryan loses, he quits.
Was there not even a crowd there though? Wasn't that during the pandemic?
No, that was after. Because people weren't sure if Bryan was really going to leave. So it was a big... but the one I actually went for, because I think this match just turned a tag team wrestler into someone that felt like if they ever wanted to make him a big main event player, they could.
Jey Uso,
yeah. The first match, not the...
I'm sure it was a great match, Charlie. There was no fans, and it's Jey fucking Uso. How is it? What is it? Is it 8 on your list or 9? Fuck off, Charlie.
What?
It's like...
The story,
no.
The story they tell. The story they tell.
You've told this story several times on this fucking show, and I only know this match because of you.
Yeah, and you've got fucking Goldberg and Hogan lumbering at each
or
other. Be like,
Roman Reigns and Jey Uso.
Exactly.
Shut the fuck up.
Let me say that only 8 people in history have ever managed to put together a better quality wrestling match than the great wrestling greats, the technicians, the Lou Fezes and Ric Flairs of their day, Hulk Hogan and Goldberg.
And it's incredible.
It's an incredible match.
And so's Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns.
With no fans? There's no... we were talking about the crowd matters. He picks a match with Jey fucking... No one even knows his name. It's like one of the Usos.
I couldn't say who was Jey or Jimmy.
No one fucking knows who that guy was. He's one of the Usos with no fans.
Anyway.
I don't know.
Ridiculous that is even close to a list of top 10. Of best championship matches in the history of fucking pro wrestling. You put Jey fucking Uso at 9.
Yes.
Have you only been watching wrestling for the last 2 years? Like a 10-year-old that just learned about fucking wrestling. Ridiculous. Be ashamed of yourself.
You done?
Speaking of two master technicians,
Okay.
my number 8 is Goldberg versus DDP.
Okay.
Halloween Havoc.
Yeah, that's a good match.
1997.
The blackout match.
Blackout
We
match.
cut out on pay-per-view.
Yeah, it didn't for us in the UK.
No, I don't
We
think
watched
it
it.
can't either. Because I remember going to a sports bar. I don't remember that happening. I remember seeing the finish.
Yep.
Diamond cutter out of the
Jackhammer.
jackhammer.
Yeah.
And
Like-
Goldberg was knocked out. You know that? He's got a concussion the whole match.
Well, the spear. Is that
He speared
he
himself.
speared himself into the
Yeah,
ground?
yeah,
didn't he?
That's the one.
He does it all the time. But like DDP realised that he couldn't lift him up properly for the jackhammer and keep it up, so he quickly switched it into a diamond cutter and just lay there, like to wait
For
see
about
what could-
40
yeah.
seconds.
The only thing that would have made that match better if it was Goldberg versus Jey Uso. Now that would have been that would have made it the best match of all time.
But like that's another one.
Because
Like,
who doesn't want to see Jey Uso in a championship match and really think Jey Uso's my guy? I hope he becomes the champion.
Right, because at the time you genuinely believed that DDP was going to be the one to end the streak, did you?
Oh, he was so over.
He was so,
So-
but I didn't
DDP
think
was
I
the
didn't think
guy
he was.
that
But when he
could
hits
have-
that diamond cutter,
Yeah.
you believed it for a second,
Like
and it's legitimate.
DDP was like the guy at that time. He was the original People's Champion. Like DDP in WCW was the Daniel Bryan.
I never liked him
WrestleMania
that much
30.
though.
Really?
Back then, but I watch it now and he ages better. Just back then, I don't know. I just thought I don't know.
He was
his
just like this
face.
cool guy.
I hated when he wore jeans for a while. That bugged me.
Came out to Nirvana.
Kind of. But then that made me like him a bit.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So that was your number 8?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, let's hear it. Come on, Charlie. Who do you got?
And you can was your number 8.
My number 8? Oh, sorry. Okay. Rock Austin WrestleMania 17.
That's number 1, right? As in Rock Austin 1?
No,
That's
17.
2.
It's the second WrestleMania. Well,
The
one of the big
Right.
Astrodome. It's like
Yeah.
it's a great match, great build up. The hype for that match was incredible. The finish with Vince kind of fucks the finish a little bit, but that's a classic. That's a classic main event.
It's great up until the moment where Austin picks up that chair.
Yeah.
It's a great match, but it just, I remember being like so deflated watching that live.
Oh yeah.
And being
me
like,
too. Can you believe he did that? Yeah.
like I know that's probably what they were going for, because like Austin's neck was done in, and
It was a bad move though, business wise.
yeah, they wanted to give like Austin time to just sit on the sidelines and be a heel for a bit, but like they should have just took the belt off him
Yeah.
at that point.
It didn't. It's a great match, but yeah, and Vince, or he even says he should have turned on Vince.
Yeah, just
and then been like this crazy. I'm not a heel. I'm not a face.
Mhm.
Apparently, like Austin was he didn't know if he should go through with it.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard, it was him that wanted to turn heel.
yeah.
And then, but he was still a bit like, fuck, should I actually go through with this or not?
Well, it's tough, right? Because that's the. I think that's a big reason why like Cena never did, right?
Because
as much
of that
as we were
mistake, I'm
screaming
sure it
like
was, yeah.
screaming like we need Cena to turn heel. He could turn heel here. He could turn heel here. Because it's like, would he immediately
Bruce.
like tank all of his merchandise? Like tank
Yeah, Vince got scared.
everything. You know, suddenly you have to put the face of the company on someone like Randy Orton or Batista
Yeah.
to like go and speak to the little kids and be like, "Hey, I'm one of you."
Yeah, well, Bruce Pritchard came out recently saying that like there was a time when Cena really wanted to turn face.
Or heel, I mean. Yeah.
Turn
And he
heel,
had
yeah.
he had new gear made
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah.
I heard that too.
And he said John Cena did the most selfless thing in the world, and just was like realized he had to be the Babe Ruth of WWE for the business as opposed to like what he wanted to do creatively.
Yes.
So.
Really?
No,
I wonder what he would have done. Like I wonder when it was and what was the angle.
Yeah.
How were they going to do it?
And it's always because like Hogan and Reigns have both shown what good can come from making your stale face into the big heel of the company.
Yeah.
And Austin showed what could go wrong
Exactly.
when you do it, right? So you'll never know with Cena. You'll never know if Cena would have been an Austin or if he would have been a Roman
The
Reigns.
thing I remember at the time, right? Because I was watching live all the time. I was watching the pay-per-views. Is that it might have worked if they had Triple H be a face after, and then that was the program.
Yeah.
They just then they put them together, and you can look back on it. It's cool, but at the time, everything just kind of felt like, because it was like Austin Undertaker again in the main events for a while, and it was like we've seen this before.
Yeah.
It didn't work. But I think if it had been heel Austin, face Triple H, they might have had something.
Yeah.
But they fucked up.
Yeah, it's a shame. So my number 8 is one that you will approve of.
Let's see.
Because it's 2 good old Canadian boys in a steel cage.
Ah, nice. Okay.
So Brett and Owen.
I had that. I thought of it, but like it's
I had that on my
not.
honorable
It's a bit
mentions.
boring. I don't know. Like the superplex off the top is cool.
Yeah.
You know, you just like that match. Was that?
I do. Like, it was at that time of like me
You got
really
back
getting
into it again?
Yes, because no, that would have been just before I dropped out of.
I was dropped out of wrestling for that time. Actually,
No, because that would have been because Brett's just beaten Yokozuna, right? So this would have been my first experience of a face WWE champion.
you've never seen that. Okay.
No, because it had been Yokozuna for the entire time that I started watching wrestling, and then it was Brett.
Was Owen believable to you? Like you thought he could win?
Yeah, I think so. I think there was that sense of like just being like so whiny and over the like. There was
He had
that
an anvil
sense
with
of-
him.
Yeah,
He had a heater.
like you weren't sure, right? It was like, and then he was cheating, and always, when you're 10, it's like that person might win, and it will be unfair. But
I was the kid that wanted that to happen.
yes,
I wanted to see them cheat.
right, yes, but no, I just think it's a really good match. I think it's one of Brett's best title matches.
Yeah, I
I'd
would,
say
I
it's
would
one of
agree with
Brett's
it.
best matches.
I don't
Yeah.
have a Brett match on here.
Ah,
Me neither.
yeah, I think it could be one of his best matches.
Yeah, I don't hate on that one. Number 7?
My number 7's one. I don't know if any of you would have seen it, but it's a random TLC match with a title on the line
Wow.
on Raw, and it's Edge versus Ric Flair,
I remember that one.
and it
It's
is-
nuts, right? Like
I-
Flair
I-
goes
it
through some
took me-
tables.
It took me ages to find it because I remembered it, and I was like, I remember that being a great match. Yeah, Flair goes through tables, Edge goes.
Wasn't it right when Edge won? It was right after he won for the first time, right?
Yeah,
So it was like, oh, Edge is the champ now, and he did the live sex celebration.
yeah,
Right,
and then he did,
2006. Yeah,
and then he did that like probably it was the week after or
week
something.
after, yeah, and like Edge takes this like bump where like he
That
from
was
the
a great
ladder
match. I want to watch it.
to a table that's on the outside. You got all the classic Flair blade job. Charlotte's in the crowd.
You can see her too.
You can see her there because they point out, they call her Ashley. It's like Ashley, his daughter, and she's like, there's this point where Ric Flair's climbing to the top of the ladder on his own, and like Charlotte's in the crowd going, "Go on, Dad, you can do it, Daddy!" Like it's just brilliant. And Flair does like his turnbuckle bump, but off a ladder. Do you know the classic turnbuckle bump?
Yeah.
He takes like a superplex off the top of the ladder.
I gotta watch this match again.
It's
That's-
brilliant. I watched it again because I was like, trying
Is
to
it as
find
good
it.
as I remember it?
Oh
right?
yeah, it is. It is like
I gotta watch that one again.
And Flair's the Intercontinental Champion at the time as well, which I forgot that Flair was the Intercontinental.
Oh yeah,
Champion.
because Edge dropped the title to Flair
Yeah.
at New Year's Revolution, right?
Yeah,
when
yeah.
he went and cashed in.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just a brilliant match. I watched it like, it's great.
Now, when you said ladder match on Raw, I thought you were about to say Taker and Hardy.
No, TLC.
that was a-
TLC. That was a good one.
Yes,
but
that was
like,
really good. Actually, that could have made a list. That could have made the list for somebody. My number 7 is Triple H Cactus Jack at Royal Rumble 2000.
Is that the
great
cell?
match.
No, it's a street fight. New
Street
York
fight.
street fight. I love that whole show. Royal Rumble 2000. If you have, that's one you got to watch, Charlie.
That was
That's
the first show I watched coming back. It was when The Rock
Channel
won,
4?
right?
Yeah.
Channel 4.
Yes.
When The Rock
I
won.
remember that.
Yes.
That true. I was watching that in a sports bar, and I remember everyone going crazy for Triple H's entrance. He fucking pedigrees him on the thumbtacks. I think that was the first. No, not the first time they brought thumbtacks because he did it. Foley did it in the cell.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they hadn't overdone thumbtacks yet.
Yeah.
I love that match.
Yeah, and Triple H has got all those thumbtacks and he's like
Yeah.
afterwards. It's so, that's a great match. And the build up to that match was like one of those things where like they had nothing going into that Royal Rumble, and it was just Triple H beating up Mankind.
And he
Mankind.
came with a
Yeah.
bell. I remember there was
Yeah.
a bell shot.
I remember
on one show.
that was the promo, right? Of
Yeah,
like him
yeah.
saying like mankind can't beat you.
Yeah,
but
so
I
it's
know
like-
someone who
It's
can.
literally like
And then-
SmackDown. It's the
yeah.
old SmackDown set. And it's like all he does is like take his mask off and like reveal a Cactus Jack t-shirt, and Triple H sells it.
Oh, yeah, he shits
like
himself.
he's like seen a ghost.
Oh yeah.
And I remember
that.
like I hadn't watched much Cactus Jack because
But you were kind of like, oh, this
I was
guy.
like,
yeah.
who's this Cactus Jack guy? And I was like, as if
Foley
it was
can be a
completely different
badass.
person.
Foley can
Yeah.
be a badass.
And he like throws him into the turnbuckle, like puts him through the table in the middle of like SmackDown. I was like, this Cactus Jack's different. Like, I am so amped for this match, and it didn't disappoint. It was such a great match.
Yeah.
Like, they've shown clips of like Japanese death matches and like Foley getting his ear taken off as Cactus Jack and barbed wire ring things, and that was all the promo packages, and all those promo packages just made that match like the build up just so much better.
Yeah, it did seem. I remember because that was like the first.
I think you approve of my number.
I do.
Number
It's,
7.
it's one of my favorite matches. Yeah.
So my number 7 is.
Did we do Tony 7? What was Tony 7?
Edge and Flair.
Oh yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah. So my number 7 is also a Flair match, but it's Flair and Macho Man WrestleMania 8.
It's a good one.
That is a good one.
It's
I
just
love that one.
I say the mixture of the.
We spoke about this before, but that whole setup, the Inquirer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Photo. Oh.
And I watched it again last night because it was one where it's like I haven't watched this since I was like 12, so let's see if it's good. And just like the mixture of how they did like hiding stuff from the referee, the use of Mr. Perfect, the use of Elizabeth, the use of the commentators, like everything just works so well.
And this huge stadium, the look of it, Flair blades, he's got the rooster hair going.
It's fantastic. Apart from the weird post-match where like a bunch of guys come down and hold Randy Savage down and let Flair kick him a few times, but they're like the officials of WWE, and I'm like, I'm not quite sure what's going on.
The brilliant thing
here,
about that is, you know how he kisses Elizabeth at the end, right?
Yeah.
And then Savage goes crazy. They, that match is done, but you want to see it again.
Yeah.
And they went for the whole summer. I went to a house show, not even in Toronto, north of Toronto, a much smaller town, and a house show came that summer. And it was Flair, Savage in the main event. And I remember being like, oh, they never, I was still a smart back then, right? I was like 10 or 12, or, like, oh, Macho Man's going to win. They never do it. They never do it. Title changes on house shows, especially they're not going to do one here. And they were doing dusty finishes. They must have been doing dusty finishes all summer. Perfect throws in brass knucks or, some knuckle gimmick. Flair pinned Savage and had the belt. They did a 1, 2, 3, and I was so shocked. Flair was carrying the belt around, and then the ref found the knuckles and reversed it or restarted the match. It was awesome. It was
crazy.
So great, and that was 6 months after Mania.
Yeah, no, it was a great feud, great match for me.
I love when he kisses her after.
Yes.
Well, that's why Vince's idea. Oh, just grab her and kiss her.
Yeah. Well, that feels like something
like
that could have been like a shoot audible, right? Like Savage will go crazy if I do this. So
what do you think that was? Just, that had
I imagine it was scripted, but it could also have been just.
Yeah. I love everything, and the argument is that show really should have been the big Flair Hogan.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. But they didn't.
In retrospect, would that have been better as a WrestleMania main event? Because it didn't draw like in other on house shows, but
as a show, I think that was the best option. You get Macho Man versus Sid. And
what else
Flair versus Hogan.
I guess you could have done another Savage Jake. You could have done a bigger blow off with that. You could have done that.
Speaking of Flair versus Hogan, my number 6 is Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan at Halloween Havoc in a steel cage.
I don't think I've.
You've never seen that one?
It's when he's
96.
But he's isn't he in the yellow?
94.
He's in the yellow.
So it was the.
Oh, I think I have seen that.
So it was what we should have got at WrestleMania. Hogan versus Flair in a steel cage match.
And isn't there a gimmick like a referee or like there's a famous
career
person?
versus career? Mr. T's the
Mr. T.
special
Yeah, okay, I
referee.
have seen that match.
There's career versus career.
Doesn't Sherry jump off the top?
Sherry jumps.
Oh,
Sherry,
yeah.
Sensational Sherry.
She jumps off the
Jimmy.
jumps off the top of the fucking cage. Yeah, that's a good match.
Jimmy Hart is so Sherry's on top of it trying to like get the belt to Flair to use in the match and stuff. Mr. T gets handcuffed to the turnbuckles and still Hogan manages to win. It's a classic Hulkster match, but like Ric Flair selling and doing always dirtiest player of the game shenanigans. I love that match.
I watched the Bash at the Beach Hogan Flair match. The 94. That was before that.
Yeah.
And I just loved that show. It's just classic pro wrestling. The way they build up that main event for Hogan Flair at that show.
Yeah.
Which match is better? Is the cage match?
The cage match I'd say is better because it's like just more like. There's more of both characters, like just like obviously Hulk being Hulk and who he is, and Flair being the dirtiest player in the game and still managing like to not do it. Like the whole story of it all coming in, like Mr. T's there to officiate because Flair isn't gonna like Mr. T's Mr. T. Mr.
Yeah,
Flair's
not gonna cheat.
yeah, he's not going to let him cheat. He's going to be like an enforcer as well as a special guest referee. Then Sherry's still like, God bless Sensational Sherry. I think her dress comes off at one point, if I remember correctly.
She jumped off. I think she had no shoes on. With bare feet, she jumped off the top of the cage.
Yeah.
Crazy
It's
people.
nuts.
It's an absolute, it's a belter of a match. That's higher than the Bash of the Beach one for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ozzy, how about your number 6?
My number 6 is when I first got into wrestling. This was the match I was dying to see when I got the VHS. I watched it so many times. Hogan Savage, WrestleMania 5. It's just a classic. The way he grabs Elizabeth. Savage is selling. Hogan blades. It's a classic. So good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's like storyline, like it's a 1-year story.
Yes.
Just the way that Elizabeth works in that match.
It's
as well.
the greatest build, I think, to any match. And it was one of their most successful Manias, too. It was the biggest. I think it was just behind WrestleMania 3.
Yeah. And it's like, I think it's
It might
the
have
only,
actually been the one that made more money on pay-per-view.
possibly. I think it's the only Mania where Hogan's in the ring with a smaller guy as well. Like, so he had to do a different dynamic. But like all the others are like
Slaughter.
Bundy, Andre. Slaughter maybe.
He's bigger
Yeah.
than Savage, but...
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it was an interesting. It's a really good match though.
That nearly made mine, but it was just I didn't it didn't fit on the list.
Didn't quite get
Yeah.
it.
Didn't quite get it.
You like it, but-
it's one of them where like the build to me is more memorable.
If we
than
did
the
builds,
match.
then I kind of have to put the whole build into it, where it's like
Yeah.
I'm not just for this one. For some of these, I'm not just looking at the
At the 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
My number 2 is just the match.
Like the
Right.
build to the match is more than the match to me. Like,
Yeah.
just like that whole like Mega Powers thing.
But it's still a good match, though.
But yeah, it's a great match, but it's just not like as good as other matches to me. Like I wouldn't put it on my top 20 list of all-time matches. Or
Wow.
so.
Okay. You'll bury my number 6.
No, it's
Thanks for that.
It's a great match.
Okay.
It's a great match.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Just for me, my taste.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But this is all about taste, right?
Yeah.
It's all about what you expect to like, what people might like. Storyline will resonate with one person or another person.
Crowd
wrestler.
resonates with me a lot.
Yeah. And for my number 6, this is a match that I never in 1,000 years thought I'd be writing down on this piece of paper.
Oh no.
Because I watched it I actually don't know how you two are going to react to this. I watched this match for the first time yesterday, and I actually watched it with a different list in mind. Because here behind the curtain, while we're recording this, we will at some point also be recording the most overrated matches of all time. And I watched this assuming that it was going to be nowhere near as good as people that like a different type of wrestling to me would expect it to be like.
Okay.
And it's an IWJP New Japan title match from Dominion 2018. It's the 4th match in a series between Kenny Omega and Okada. And I put it on thinking, it's a 70-minute match. I'll give it 10
Is that
minutes.
the best 2 out of 3 fall?
Yeah.
When Kenny wins.
When Kenny wins.
But Omega's got Okada's got the long pants.
Yes. And I thought, like, I'll be able to put this down because I'll watch 10 minutes and put it in the background to be able to say, yeah, shitty, overbooked, overconfident. It's Omega. I've only really seen Omega in AEW where it's terrible. And then I watched it and 10 minutes in, I'm like, Omega can wrestle. And he can tell a story. And these two guys, like, because it isn't like just big spots and big,
It's
like,
also
oh my
because
God.
Okada is one of the greatest of all time.
And it's just a 70-minute story of people trying to avoid each other's finishes and putting over people's finishes as being like, if you hit this, you're done.
It's like Rainmaker,
And-
One Winged Angel.
And
like,
it's gripping for the whole time.
It is. I watched it live.
I couldn't believe how good it was. I
wasn't there. I mean, on TV.
Right, yeah. But I was watching it, expecting it to be one where I can easily say, like, oh, Dave Meltzer with his, like, 12 stars or whatever he gave it.
You wanted to shit on it.
I was expecting to. I didn't want to, but I was expecting. Well, because I've never seen Omega in a good match.
Yeah,
So
but I'm glad you put it on there. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised.
I was shocked because I watched.
He goes on about saying he's never watched those before and doesn't have 70 minutes to spare.
Well,
my brain went like IWGP. I was like, he's going to do like Kurt, Brock, Nakamura.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever even seen one. Yeah, okay.
No, I was really, really shocked, and it made me realize that if in the bizarro land that we're in now, if in a couple of years Omega goes to WWE match producers can make that guy put on really, really good matches because that guy has it in him.
If his body's not broken by then, yeah.
But no, I was just shocked. I never expected it to be on my list.
I'm really shocked you picked it.
I can't believe it's on there. Like I haven't seen that match, so I wouldn't know. But like,
oh, you're the one who says you don't have 70 minutes to spare to watch a wrestling match.
Yeah, I'm the one that says I'm not going to 70 minutes to spare. If live,
but you'll probably
watch
play 3 hours of video games. Right?
Yeah. I'll sit and play I'll sit and spend 8 hours playing a video game that I played like 20 or 30 times.
Yeah, but you won't
in
sit
my
and watch
life.
one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time, even though you're a huge wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's. I just was really surprised at how well the commentary
Yeah.
put over the story. How well I knew the
And
story
New
of the
Japan
previous
commentary
3
was
matches.
pretty
Yeah,
good too.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I'll give it a go.
yeah.
You have to.
Shocked
Okay.
how good it
5,
was.
top 5?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I'll start top 5. Cena, RVD, ECW, One Night Stand.
That's another audience heavy
Yes.
lifting
And I
one. there.
like, even back then, I was a huge RVD mark.
Right.
And it's a great match. The crowd is, I love the venue. The crowd is just insane. I don't know. It was over for me at the time.
No, I get it. It was a big moment, and there was that whole thing of like, RVD has to win, but RVD's not beating Cena.
And
But
that's
he
when
has to beat
and they
Cena.
had that was the
Yeah.
first person that had that if Cena wins, we riot.
Yeah.
That was the one where it's like,
They
that
might.
possibly could
Yeah,
happen.
could happen.
Someone threw Cena's shirt back in the ring at him.
Yeah.
Cena played that
Cena
so well.
Yeah.
Cena worked that crowd.
Yeah.
huge.
He had him in the palm of his hand. Like
he
I
could have done anything in that match, and they were just reacting.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that was the perfect crowd
For that match.
for him to just be semi heel, but like he was just doing his usual
Yeah,
face
exactly.
stuff, and they just hated his face stuff. So like, yeah, it was a good match.
It's a good match. Number 5?
My number 5 is a John Cena match, and it is a triple threat: Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and Seth
I knew
Rollins
you were
at
gonna
the
have
Royal
this one.
Rumble
Yeah.
2015.
That's a great match.
I was
It's
close.
Fucking
great.
fantastic.
I remember
match.
watching that being like, you know when you're surprised how good a match is? When you're just like, this will be all right. And then it's like, holy fuck, that's one of the best matches I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yep. I watched it, and I remember watching it live and thinking that Brock I was like, Seth and John carried the match because Brock was out for most of the match. Because they do a spot where they put Brock through a table, but then I watched it back recently, and I was like, Brock's actually in this match for a long time at the start.
It was just to give you that
thing
make
that
people think he might lose.
Yeah. And like, because I remember the internet being like, Brock just didn't do anything in the whole match, but he did. And the whole story they told at the start of like John was trying to take Lesnar out, and Rollins was just at the outside, like cowering and like
Picking his spot kind of
spots
thing,
to
yeah,
come
yeah.
in. And like there was even moments where like you thought John and Seth should team up, but they didn't, because like John was going for Seth, but then Brock was in the corner of his eye, and like he kept his eye focus was mainly on Lesnar. And at the point you're like, Seth might win this.
Who does Brock pin? He pins.
Seth. I think.
Seth, he pinned
Yeah.
Seth.
Okay.
No, it's a great match.
It's
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
That's your 5, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's my 5. Yeah,
What's
yeah.
your 5, Charlie?
So my number 5 is a match that I've talked about a lot before. It's a match from Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
It's, I think, the best match that's ever been on Monday Night Raw. It's from 1994. It's Bret Hart versus the 1-2-3 Kid.
Is that a championship?
It was for the title.
Title?
Yeah, it was for the title.
It's a good match.
Brett basically said like, we need to put the mid-carders over.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
put this match forward, and like they just put this whole match was just like, Brett is like quasi-heel in that match.
And
like,
he makes faces like, oh,
yeah,
oh, wow,
like
he's better
the,
than
the
I thought he
opening
was.
move. The opening move. Brett goes for a takedown. 1-2-3 Kid hits the wrist lock, and Brett's just there being like, okay, this is not just an exhibition. I have to do something. And some of the stuff they do in that match, there are moments where there's a moment where Brett's about to get him in the sharpshooter, and the Kid just grabs the ropes, and Brett is like looking at the referee, looking at the ropes. So you can see this idea of like, is he thinking, fuck it, let's do it for 5 seconds because I need to hurt this guy, or should I not break the rules because I'm
a good guy.
the good guy?
Yeah.
And just this idea of just letting, like, Brett stayed face, but made 1-2-3 Kid super face. And the crowd went from being, this is a squash, to the Kid might win this. Like,
Brett-
he got 2 or 3 really close free falls.
Brett
It's a fantastic-
says that's one of his favorite matches of his career. I've seen it in like shoot
Yeah.
interviews with him. He's like, that's one of the greatest matches I've ever had, was with the 1-2-3
Yeah.
Kid. No one talks about it.
J-
Except
JR.
some mark named Charlie on the internet.
JR also says it's the best match he ever commentated on Raw.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen that much.
You've never seen it. It's
No. You guys
amazing. It's
I'll
just...
have to look that up
That's
on the
good.
old WWE Network, $9.99 a month.
Oh, God.
Absolutely. Number 4.
Yeah, you go to
My number 4 is a repeat.
Okay.
Triple H catches Jack.
No
Royal Rumble
shit.
2000.
No shit.
That was just, you could tell by how I was talking about
Yeah.
it, how much I enjoyed that match.
Yeah, you seem to get mad that I stole your thunder on that one.
Yeah, I just kind of like, that one is the build and the match for me, because that build, like the face reveal, and like Triple H could have just buried the fuck out of it. He could have just laughed at me like, it's the same guy in a t-shirt.
But he sold it.
But he sold it, and he just like, as a young kid being like, just thinking back, I'm going like Mankind, and then you see Cactus Jack, and always does take the mask off, but in my mind I'm like, that's a different person. Like, it's not.
No,
but in my mind I'm like, bang, bang! Like,
all right, my number 4. Hopefully you guys have seen this. Flair, Steamboat, Chi-Town Rumble. It's like they had this trilogy. That was their first one. Mm-hmm. Flair's in the red. Steamboat's in all green. I watched that again last night just to make sure it was as good as I thought it was. That match had, you know how modern wrestling is all false finishes? Mm-hmm. It was basically like they invented the false finish match in that. It's crazy. It's such a good match.
I'm assuming that's NWA? Or
it's NWA, but like it's big gold,
right?
And it's on WCW television.
Okay,
and Steamboat wins it, with a
Wow.
small package out of a figure 4. He gets him in the like the
That's
finish.
Beautiful.
The finish is unreal. Like it looks like there's a ref bump. Steamboat comes off the top. He misses it. Flair's doing his shit. The ref's down. Goes for the figure 4. Steamboat grabs his hair and rolls him into a small package. And Teddy Long actually jumps in as the second ref and makes the 3 count. It's such a well booked finish, and I have a feeling, I wasn't watching at the time, but I have a feeling that people probably thought Flair would win, right? Like no one really quite thought, okay, they bring Steamboat over, he's back in WCW, he's not going to win the belt, and then they put it on him.
Right.
They took it off pretty quick, but
no, but I can imagine those moments of putting something on the big face and then taking it away again.
It's okay to do that.
It's 2
sometimes.
big moments, right?
Yeah.
It's the heroic win and then the tragic loss.
You'd actually like that match. I think you get into that.
I imagine so. I mean, Steamboat, every match I've seen of his is fantastic. I've just not seen very many, which is on me.
That's the one to watch.
So you've done your number 4, right? So my number 4, it's a bit of a cheat, I think, because but it is a WWF Championship match. Oh. It's just a 1 hour long WWF Championship match that had 30 competitors in it. And it's Ric Flair winning the Royal Rumble in 1992.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll give you that one. I love that.
It's just so well done. They put over it. I mean, if you ever want to say about stats, like that's the title match in all of wrestling that has the most major Hall of Fame level people of all time, right? And it's probably the best Rumble of all time.
It is. For me, it is.
Yeah.
It's by far.
And
Heenan's commentary that makes it like...
everything about it, and it felt like a title match. It didn't feel like a Royal Rumble. It felt like they were competing for the title.
And there's all these little spots in that too, where it was like historic rivalries of Flair guys. He actually has a little exchange with Shawn Michaels, which is cool. There's some other ones with other guys, like him and Piper have a bit of a face off. It was like, he'd been in WWF for a few months, right? And then in that Rumble, they basically blew off all of the other feuds that they'd started with Flair throughout that.
Yeah. No, I just think it's like I say, it might be considered a cheat because it's not a one-on-one match or whatever else.
We'll give you that one.
Gave one of my favourite promos of all time as well.
Oh, Tear in My Eye, yeah.
Tear in My Eye.
Yeah.
The only shitty thing is he doesn't get the belt in front of the live audience. They, for some reason, only give him the belt in that promo. That's the one. If I'm gonna nitpick. Yeah.
But no, that's my number 4. Flair winning the Royal Rumble in 92.
Okay, I'll go first with 3 because it's sort of a repeat. I'm gonna go Omega Okada, the first one, the Wrestle Kingdom one. I just prefer that one.
Okay.
Because that's the one that really got everyone talking about New Japan, right? Like I was into it for a few years before that, but that match, that was the first Meltzer.
That was the 6-star match.
6-star match.
Right.
Was Kenny? Could Kenny win that one? You probably didn't quite. It was like, oh, Kenny Omega's in the main event. Like when I was
still with the Terminator entrance though.
I don't think it was. It might have been. Was it? Was it that one?
The cleaner. Yeah.
Okay. And I remember like I had been to Wrestle Kingdom a few years before that. And Kenny was still in the light heavyweight or whatever it's called. And I'm like, Kenny Omega, got me back into New Japan again.
Yeah.
Right. And if that match never happened, would Kenny have got big enough to make AEW? Like I don't know.
No, possibly not. Right.
Right. That's what put Kenny Omega. And I love the finish of that match. I think I prefer that one out of all of them. And Okada's not wearing those stupid pants.
Oh, that's the best.
That shit matters to me.
Yes.
If I'm watching a match.
I obviously. Anyway, how about the fashion choices for your number 3?
My number 3 is Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Great American Bash, 86 steel cage match.
I know I've seen it, but
it's like it's weird to watch now because there's no commentary. It's literally like that old. There's no commentary on it. If you find it, I think it's on the network. It should be. It's Great American Bash. It definitely is on the network.
Yeah, it will be on the network.
But like, there might be a version with commentary, but the one I watched didn't have it. But it's just such a. It's after the whole like Flair breaking Dusty's arm and that whole saga. And
there to be no commentary and you still being like, "This is incredible," shows something.
It's so great because like Dusty's like Flair's constantly trying to escape the cage. That's like part of the thing. He's obviously.
But in NWA, it wasn't escaping the cage. It was pinned.
Yeah, you could escape
and win.
Yeah. So he was
really?
like constantly trying to escape the cage. And Dusty's just working him over. It is a fantastic.
Is Flair not trying to just run away? But he's like, you don't win. I don't think in NWA if you escape the cage.
I don't know because
there's no commentary.
No commentary.
I'm pretty sure you had. It ends with a pinfall. Who wins?
Rhodes.
Dusty wins, eh?
Yeah.
Is that the best match of their rivalry or just the best title?
It's the best match of their rivalry,
right.
Definitely. Like I've watched some of their matches from Rival that haven't been too great, but it's just a classic. Flair bleeds, Rhodes.
I'm shocked.
Elbow.
Flair bleeds. Well, I gotta check that one.
Next to it, you're telling me that Dusty Rhodes bleeds as well.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that ends with the bionic elbow after the jump from pulls him down from the cage. Elbow 1, 2, 3.
Right.
I think that's the finish, but that's the finish. I've watched many Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair matches.
And Dusty usually wins.
No. Like they're back and forth.
Oh, okay.
They're like constantly back and forth.
All right, what do you got?
So my number 3 is a repeat of one of yours.
Okay.
It's Mega Powers Explode.
Really? Okay. You got that one high, eh?
Macho and Hogan. I think it's definitely one of the 2 best matches that Hogan's ever did. I think the one with The Rock, which is not a title match, is the other one that's up there. But yeah, I think the interesting thing of Hogan having to be the big guy in a WrestleMania match and
still be the face.
Yeah, and still be the face, and just like Macho doing the heel stuff, like getting away, coming in.
That's savage. That's all savage, making you believe that a smaller guy can beat Hogan.
Yeah, when you realise that if Savage walked into this room right now, apart from us being scared of the zombie, he would make us all look like children. How big and huge he was.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah, he's just jacked to all.
But compared to
Hogan,
Hogan
he
and the
looks
Warrior,
like a small child, right?
All those roid heads.
Yeah, but no, one of the best matches for a title ever.
I'm excited for my number 2. It hasn't been said yet, so I'll let you go first with number 2.
Yeah, my number 2 is you're not going to pick it. You're not going to pick it. It's John Cena versus AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble in 2017.
Is that the one where AJ wins?
2?
This one where Cena wins.
That's your number 2. That's your second greatest match of all time.
Oh, it's a great match. And
so great.
What I love about it is they spend that entire match in the ring. They do not leave the ring for the entire match, and it's just wrestling. And it's like AJ Styles, I didn't know who AJ Styles was. I never watched TNA. I didn't watch that much New Japan Pro Wrestling.
He was just a small dude.
He was just a small dude. Came in and everybody was raving. AJ Styles is going to be the big thing in WWE. He's coming in the Rumble, and I was just like, But that series with John Cena cemented AJ Styles. They had 3 matches, and Cena lost 2 of them. He lost one by distraction. He lost the second one clean in the ring at SummerSlam.
I was surprised he won that Royal Rumble match. It was kind of
I
was disappointed that he won actually.
But that match was just so great. I just loved no interference.
No Cena mark.
I haven't seen him. No. Yeah,
it's that thing about John Cena, right? That he gets tarred with that brush of being the person that always has to win, lol. But he's also the reason why Kevin Owens came into the main roster WWE hot as hot can be. The reason why AJ Styles came in immediately legitimized.
Yeah, he did beat Cena twice, and it didn't feel at the Royal Rumble that Cena got his win back lol. It felt like AJ was made because it took.
Are you guys saying lol LOL?
Yeah, that's what they say. Cena wins lol. I don't say it.
No, it's the sign. It's the quote.
It's an internet meme. It's what it is. And with that match, it didn't feel like AJ lost anything. Like he just was still. It took so much to beat him anyway. It took like three AAs.
Doesn't he catch him and then hit him with an AA?
Does it the avalanche one from I don't know.
Oh, does he?
That's
Okay.
what they call it these days.
Yes, the top rope one.
Top rope
Top
one.
rope one.
Yeah, he was a top rope one to finish him, but it took 3.
My number 2.
Yeah.
Guaranteed you guys. I hope one of you guys have at least seen this. It is from the Royal Rumble. Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit.
Yeah, Royal Rumble 2003.
Yeah.
I've seen that one.
That match, I watched it again just to make sure. It is
Okay.
like modern wrestling. It's like, AEW has these good matches, but then there's still kind of cheesy shit. There's false finishes, tons of suplexes, no cheesy shit.
Kind of pissed that I didn't think of that now.
That-
I remember that match. That match is
It is
banger.
so fucking good. He's with Team Angle as well, but they get kicked out at the beginning.
Right.
So like they're not there. There's no funny business. I remember watching that like in a bar in my university town, and everybody was going fucking crazy for it. The finish.
Yeah.
It's not even an ankle lock. He puts him like in a knee bar because he's had him in the ankle lock for so long. It's great. It's so good. And there's a part where when Benoit gets him in the crossface, and even watching it last night, I'm like, holy fuck! Like it looks. And I remember thinking, oh my god, are they going to do it? Because like I think, you thought Jey Uso could actually win.
Yeah.
You're the only person who thought that, but so many wrestling fans at the time wanted Benoit, right? They knew who Benoit was. They didn't know he was just the other twin. So like, you wanted to see Benoit win the belt, and it was so believable that it could have happened. And if it did at that time, like,
Who knows? I mean, they
it still
were
could have been great.
2 of the best in-ring performers out there.
Yes, only one is a somewhat decent person.
Yes.
I don't think the other guy is a good person though. Just so I could, I mentioned
in with
Benoit
with the hot takes.
Yeah. Benoit is not a good person. That's my hot take of this
Yes.
episode. Chris Benoit is a bad person.
but he's a good wrestler.
We'll put that as the Instagram clip, shall we?
Yeah, Chris Benoit's a bad person.
Yes. So my number 2
Yeah.
is one that has not been mentioned. I don't think it's going to get mentioned.
Oh no.
My number 1 might get mentioned by one of you. I don't know. It's, I think, it's hard to say. It was
I'd get you with that.
it was the match that kick-started, I think, the Undertaker streak matches really being good. It's Undertaker versus Edge for the World
Undertaker
Heavyweight
Batista's
title.
thought you were going to go with
Undertaker
Undertaker Batista is also
literally
fantastic.
gonna say
Better.
Batista, yeah.
better.
But
I
love
was
the
going to be
Edge one.
surprised if he said that. I had that as an honorable mention. Batista Taker is one of my.
Right.
That's
Honorable
been so many
mentions.
title matches. That,
So why is it you
against
like the Edge one so much? Oh, you're an.
I
Edge
mean,
lover.
it's probably because I like Edge, but
Yeah.
but that's what we do, right? I mean, you pick fucking Goldberg because you think he's a great technical wrestler. No, it's because you loved the mystique of Goldberg. You love the character.
And I was in that time. I was a
exactly.
teenager watching
that
it.
match.
So that's
Yeah. So of the time that this happened, like Edge was probably my favorite wrestler that was competing at the time,
Yeah.
and he was
That's a
at the
great
time
match.
he was the only other guy boasting a sort of streak. He was sort of 7-0 at Mania at that point.
I just remember
So-
I didn't think that he would win that match. I was like, they're putting Taker over again.
Yeah, I thought so, but there was a slight possibility. It was also that point where people started getting like the false finishes and the close finishes. Like you had Randy Orton, I think the year before, have the RKO that got the 2.9 on Taker, and then Edge hit everything.
In retrospect, if you think back to all the streak matches after that, I knew they were never gonna. Shawn wasn't gonna beat the streak. Triple H, some people might have thought so. I didn't think Triple H was gonna end the streak. Edge would have actually kind of made. Imagine the heat he would have got. Like,
And the fact that
That
he
wouldn't have been that
also 7-0
Yeah.
at the time. So he was the guy that could have had the streak that would have
I
overtaken
kind of wish they
Taker.
did that.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they actually put Edge over. Okay, good one. My number 1, Charlie buried it earlier. Savage Flair, WrestleMania 8. That's my number 1.
Okay.
I get it.
Yeah,
It's great.
It's not like the match, bell to bell, is not as good as Angle Benoit, not as good as Okada Omega, but what a fucking build, and still what a match.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and you just
The
watch
selling,
it.
everything.
Yeah, and like I say, I watched it again last
Yeah,
night.
me too.
Macho Man, the way he just climbs those ropes, the way Flair sells everything, it just is brilliant.
Yeah, I made my wife watch Ric Flair kiss Elizabeth. She was pretty shocked by that. She was shocked how I knew. Well,
Yes.
I've seen it a few times, honey.
Yep. My
Tony?
number 1 is a repeat. It is Ric Flair versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Chi-Town Rumble.
You went for the Chi-Town Rumble one too, not
It's one of the
other
greatest matches ever. Like, it's
I got so into it watching it again last night.
Fast paced.
Yeah, that's the thing.
In the way that like AEW is like, and New Japan are doing this like style of like quick fast paced transition moves and stuff like that. Like Flair and Steamboat is like the pioneer.
Right, and you can tell they're not it doesn't look like they're cooperating.
Yeah,
but in AEW, there's too much. A lot of times, obvious cooperation.
It looks like some of the like clotheslines and stuff looks like stiffer, and it doesn't look like they're working together to do these moves. And
when Steamboat talks about his best matches, right? Everyone thinks it's the Savage match.
Yeah.
But apparently he says, well, the thing with Flair is we didn't plan out it move for move.
Yeah.
Randy wanted everything planned out move for move.
Yes.
We went out there and did a match that was probably 2 or 3 times longer than the Savage Steamboat match. That match was like 15 minutes, right? The Chi-Town Rumble match is 30 at least. They went out and did double the time and called it in the ring.
yeah,
Right.
and it was like they used like I seen like a tiger suplex in there. So much that you don't see like anymore in that match as well.
And imagine then, 1989. Imagine you were seeing that then.
And like that finish, like the figure 4, the grabbing, like that was just like Steamboat just has like amazing finishes.
Yeah, but when you watch that match, it feels, even though it's so old, it feels a bit like modern wrestling because of all the false finishes and the.
People like Steamboat, Savage were like modern wrestlers.
There's a spot
wrestler because they're still wrestlers. They're good at they're good in the ring. They're not just all the
character.
There's like a spot where like Flair does an Irish whip into the corner. He does his usual flip over to the other side, and then he runs
and
to the other side of and gets to the turnbuckle there. And Steamboat comes over.
There's all these little things,
it's
right?
So smooth, but also doesn't look like a ballet.
Right.
And they took these little tropes of both their, like, Flair always did that thing, and then they just tweaked it a bit.
Yeah.
Tweaked it a bit to keep you guessing.
I definitely
I'm saying that they called all of that.
Yeah, I'll watch that again.
I'll have to look this one
I'll watch that one again today.
Honestly, like
excellent.
that. I watched it years ago, and I was like, it's a great match, and then I watched it again for this, and I was like, it originally was going to be like 6 or 7 for my list, but I watched it again and was like, that's number 1. That is number 1. And there's a promo at the end.
What did I have? I had it at 4. Yeah, so it was.
So my number 1.
Oh God!
Look,
I already know it's gonna suck. Could it suck? Could he do something stupid here?
No,
I don't know.
I mean, to be honest, I didn't expect this to be my number 1 because I wrote it down. It was one of the first matches that came down on my paper, and I was there thinking,
versus
No, Miz versus Jerry Lawler is an underrated classic, but not no. But when I was making the list and looking through them, it just kept getting higher and higher and higher, and I was like, I think I'm about to put a Smackdown match as my best title match of all time.
The Iron Man match, Brock.
The Brock and Angle Iron Man match.
Interesting.
It is. I think it's the best. It is the best of their bunch.
Yeah,
it's probably it's the best Iron Man match, I'd say.
Yeah, it moves.
The storyline, like as
I love the finish.
Yeah. For me, I know that you're not keen on like people dropping like pin after pin after pin. But I think the way they did that, of it just being like, is he going to come back? Is he going to make it? And just getting.
They had to because it was TV too, right?
Yeah. The more I thought about it, the more I was like, I think this is the best title match. Like, it has this crutch of them being able to be like 5 or 6 big finishes because it went like 6-5 or something in the end.
But at the end of the day, I think it is the best. I agree, it's the best Iron Man match.
Yeah, I think it's the best TV match, maybe.
Yeah.
That WWE best match SmackDown's ever done.
Yeah.
And
no John Cena versus Shawn Michaels 1 hour Broadway in London, but it's a good match.
Yes, that was one
that was better.
I'm just playing up to being a Cena man.
Oh yeah.
I haven't really watched both of them in there.
I thought you said that you actually are a bigger Brock mark than Cena.
Yeah, huge Brock.
When I made the point that Cena never would have been what he turned into if Brock didn't leave.
Yeah. I am a huge Brock mark.
Anyway, that's nice, but this is my number 1.
Oh yeah, sorry.
And Cena's not involved.
Would you like to say some more about Kurt and Brock? Do you have more to say?
No.
No?
All right.
Oh, okay. Well, but I almost put their WrestleMania 19 match because I like the big stadium matches.
Yes.
I remember watching. I was so afraid that Kurt was going to break his neck.
No, in the end, it was Brock you had to worry about.
Yeah, that was. For me, that WrestleMania 19, a lot of people, it's kind of one of those forgotten ones. I love it.
Do you think if he had landed that shooting star perfectly, would we be having it on our list? Be like,
yes.
Not only was it a great match, but Brock hit a fucking
and it's
shooting
the greatest
star.
WrestleMania match of all time.
Yeah.
Yesterday I watched. It was from a number of years ago. This Stone Cold Steve Austin interview with Brock, and they talk about it. And Brock says someone, he won't say who, convinced him to do it because it'll be the greatest WrestleMania moment of all time. I think it was Heyman.
Possibly.
Is my guess.
Because wasn't it like Perfect or someone that told him to not do it when he was doing it?
Austin said he came up to him after and was mad at him for even doing it because you don't need to.
Yeah.
But I remember finding a video on the internet back then of him doing it, right? Of doing the shooting star.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see him do it. Everyone was talking about it. He's going to do it at Mania. He's going to do it at Mania.
Yep.
And it was just so disappointing that Angle was too far away. Because that's one of those things. I love that match. I love that stadium. Everything about it. I love the build for that match. I was so into it.
Yeah.
And then, that brings it down.
It's like if it lands, then it is everything you say. It's
probably my number one if you landed it.
Because we have right now with Roman Reigns' big streak, right? If we get like the Reigns versus Rock main event at WrestleMania, imagine if that ends with Roman doing like a moonsault or something that he's never done before. It would be like,
holy shit.
My god, he did this big huge thing to win this match. But if he lands on his head, it's like Roman Reigns didn't need to do that. Why is this idiot
doing that
and ruining the biggest match of the year? So it goes either way. But
right.
Anyway, that's my number one.
I wanted to get an Angle Benoit, Angle Brock in there, and I thought of that one, but I guess because it's a TV match, it brings it down for me. It's like, I want the Mania one, but good one. I'm not going to shit on you for that one, Charlie. Good
Hooray!
One. Good one, Charlie.
Yes. I kind of agree with it being a great match. I do agree that Mania 19 match would have been the best title match if that didn't happen.
Yeah, or if Jey Uso was in it. Because then that would have, that would have been great. Angle versus Jey, Brock versus Jey Uso. I don't know who's going to win, and I'm take my money.
Dream matches.
Dream matches with Jey Uso. That's our next top 10.
Okay, apparently the best matches of all time can only have one of 5 wrestlers in it. Otherwise, it doesn't count, no matter how good it is. So, that bombshell...
It means the best wrestlers of all time.
Yes.
The real marquee, main event, top wrestlers of all time.
Anyway,
not Jey Uso.
Anyway, you've corneted and Russo'd enough for one show. So thank you everyone for watching this episode, and let us know what you think. Let us know if people not called Goldberg and Hogan are allowed to have best matches of all time. Please like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and we will see you next time. Have a good time. See ya.